I'm still here under the chemical skies of Byron Bay. The chemtrails here have been absolutely phenomenal in the last week. Actually, last Tuesday here we had the highest amount of chemtrails I'd ever seen. The whole sky was literally covered in these things, and they were spreading out into these really strange wispy-looking clouds. You could see real clouds on the horizon, big fluffy cumulus clouds, but there were no actual clouds directly overhead, and planes would fly over, they'd leave a little tiny streak, not very long at all, not across the whole sky, just a little tiny streak, and it was like it multiplied in the air, like it would just turn into this big hazy cloud bank, and then it would just sort of streak out across the sky. And it was like it multiplied in the air, like it would just turn into this big hazy cloud bank, and then it would just sort of streak out across the sky. These are definitely not contrails, folks. I mean, I don't know what they are, but I know what they are not, and they are not contrails. And my father used to tell me about clouds and about contrails, and even when we used to see planes fly over when I was a child, we get quite excited when we saw one with a contrail. I always asked Dad about them, and he used to tell me that it took special circumstances for a plane to create a contrail. The planes had to be at a certain altitude, and the air would have to be a certain temperature. And what would happen would be the heat from the exhaust would boil this water in the air, it'd boil it and create condensation, and the condensation would freeze in the air, and it would create this long trail of ice particles behind the plane. And then the ice melts after the plane's gone a little way. They can't stay there very long because it's just very fine particles of ice and condensation, so it just melts straight away, so there's nothing left behind. That's what contrails are, folks. Across the sky. I'm still here under the chemical skies of Byron Bay. The chemtrails here have been absolutely phenomenal in the last week. Actually, last Tuesday here we had the highest amount of chemtrails I'd ever seen. The whole sky was literally covered in these things, and they were spreading out into these really strange, wispy-looking clouds. You could see real clouds on the horizon, big fluffy cumulus clouds, but there were no actual clouds directly overhead, and planes would fly over, they'd leave a little tiny streak, not very long at all, not across the whole sky, just a little tiny streak, and it was like it multiplied in the air, like it would just turn into this big hazy cloud bank, and then it would just sort of streak out across the sky. Like it multiplied in the air, like it would just turn into this big hazy cloud bank, and then it would just sort of streak out across the sky. These are definitely not contrails, folks. I mean, I don't know what they are, but I know what they are not, and they are not contrails. And my father used to tell me about clouds and about contrails, and even when we used to see planes fly over when I was a child, we get quite excited when we saw one with a contrail. I always asked Dad about them, and he used to tell me that it took special circumstances for a plane to create a contrail. The planes had to be at a certain altitude. Byron Bay, the chemtrails here have been absolutely phenomenal in the last week. Actually, last Tuesday here we had the highest amount of chemtrails I'd ever seen. The whole sky was literally covered in these things, and they were spreading out into these very strange wispy-looking clouds. You'd see real clouds on the horizon, big fluffy cumulus clouds, but there were no actual clouds directly overhead, and planes would fly over them, and it was like it multiplied in the air, like it would just turn into this big hazy cloud bank, and then it would just sort of streak out across the sky. I'm still here under the chemical skies, and they'd leave a little tiny streak, not very long at all, not across the whole sky, just a little tiny streak, and it was like it multiplied in the air, like it would just turn into this big hazy cloud bank, and then it would just sort of streak out across the sky.